and Symptoma is a digital health assistant. Our mission: every patient deserves the right diagnosis and treatment. 1 in 7 diagnoses are misdiagnoses, and each year, 1.5 million lives could be saved with the right diagnosis. But what causes misdiagnoses? It's misinformation. So we have developed Symptoma, a digital health assistant. Patients and doctors enter symptoms, receive a list of matching causes, and answer questions that our chatbot is asking.
Everyone was caught unawares, whether private or public sector. And so it was really a readiness issue that wasn't around the technology, it was around the ability to consume that technology rapidly. And even then, we weren't so much seeing technology issues. What we were seeing were issues of engagement, of commercial arrangements, of contact, and knowing that solutions are there. And I think both public and private sector organisations were caught out by an ability to literally transact and consume the technology, not the technology itself. There's more than enough technology to make a huge difference. It's actually the exponential change in the ability to consume it commercially.
There's so many different solutions out there right now, and it's hard to distinguish which one you trust and which one you don't. And I have, so the second study on COVID that we are going to publish right now, it's actually a bombshell, because like even highly trusted companies and organizations, they perform on assessing the COVID risk worse than chance. So you could actually gamble, and this test would be even worse than a gamble. And so my question is, how can so many solutions be out there that have not been validated, or how did they actually validate? And also then the next one is the data privacy concerns. So those are the typical concerns of organizations, of hospitals and governments. And although the time we have a time pressure here, I would still say uphold those values. You need the validation, you need the data privacy to be rock solid. We cannot do any compromise on this, even in a situation of crisis, I think. It's more of a communication issue than it is of a technology issue. As you said, Max, and also you, Martin, the tech is already out there. It's really hard to find the right one. And what is really so distinguishing,
etc. And actually the challenge was one of engagement. It's, you know, who do I speak to and how do I do it? And so what was challenged with COVID, because it was an exponential situation, all organizations were unprepared for how you have to work in this situation. So it wasn't absence of technology or even desire to consume it. There was not the defined ways of engaging in an emergency situation and mobilizing an ecosystem. And there was no way to sensibly either contract or consume the technologies. So I think there's a very unique situation going into a lockdown where you could, for example, imagine having scenario plans for how you would deal with that, and you activate such plans. The trouble is that's got to happen both supply side and consumption side. And I'd say one of the challenges, you know, myself and colleagues in other enterprises observed is it was challenging for us to mobilize as well. Not again from a technology point of view, but in terms of getting together the massive resources we have in a coordinated way. So during crisis, very difficult. I think planning towards recovery scenarios, there's a little bit of time to think. And one of the key things for me is considering very carefully how your customers, your consumers, whether they're patients, citizens, or consumers, you know, what sort of mode they're going to be in coming out of this. You know, are they going to be very reticent? Are they going to be bullish? And how have their needs changed? And then having to assess how you deal with those customers in a new way, because what worked before won't necessarily work beyond. So I think it's a fundamental re-examining of the nature of that experience you offer to make it fit for purpose. And you know, then you're in a better position to start to think about, okay, you know, am I prepared for this and able to react to it, and how do I move forward? But it needs that level, I think, of reassessment.
Essentially, this crisis shows the ability of human race and shows what evolution actually depends on, which is collaboration between any size of organizations and our people, and how we can spontaneously overcome sudden challenges. And it's really, like you said, Martin, it's not like driven by benefits, but the urgent need right now. And it is, as an optimist, you can just see on how quickly everything just changed, how people are moving to work together, although we are working apart, so remotely. So we are not sharing a physical space right now while we are talking. And this is actually fascinating and gives a nice outlook for the future.
Well, I guess I would echo that, Max. I mean, I'm an optimist as well, and I think there's a lot of doom saying around, and I think we will bounce back. I hope we'll bounce back wiser. You can't always assume that's going to be the case. And some things will change, as is always the case. But obviously, I think, you know, we are a very adaptable species, and that's why we are where we are. And fundamentally, that adaptability will see us through. It might be a slightly different reality, but actually, it'll all be okay in the end.